What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Science Fictionary Podcast. I'm Andrew, and I'm here with Marisha and Daniel. And we're talking episodes 3 and 4 of Loki. So, right off, I want to know what y'all thought about it. Daniel, I've heard a little of what Marisha thinks about it, but what do you think about it?
I don't know. Okay.
Let's start with episode. Do y'all want to start with episode 3 and talk about them separately, or just talk about it all as one chunk?
It's kind of one,
Yeah, at this point, I think I got to lump them together.
Well, I think these two episodes lump together pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't talk about them and not. And can y'all hear that air conditioner? Because that is loud.
No, I can't.
Okay, good.
Nope.
All right. So, a light, episode 3, fine. I actually think Sophia DiMartino and Tom Hiddleston, the two Lokis, I liked their back and forth. I enjoyed that episode. And we got to the end of the episode, and I wanted to throw something at my TV. What the hell? That was my only tweet that day. My only tweet that day was WTF! Exclamation point.
Mm-hmm.
So going from there and through episode 4, one of the things I have really enjoyed these last 2 episodes is it too? Gosh, this is my first paragraph of the podcast, and I was fisting to make a spoiler. But we're not spoiler free, right? So
we're spoilery.
By the time we get to the end of episode 4, and we think maybe Loki met his demise, Sophia DiMartino has won me over so much by that point that I'm sitting there going, okay, it's her show now. I'm cool with it. Let's go.
No, not me. I was like, no.
But I have really enjoyed her. Like, I really am. I'm actually surprised, and I thought about this the other day, that she has been around as long as she has and managed to remain this unknown. Because I think she's really good, and I think she could have carried this show from this point forward. Well, if they had decided to do that. That's how on board with her I am. My issues. Are y'all not confused by whatever in the hell it is the TVA does and why and how Nexus events even happen and these alternate timelines even happen and these multiverses even happen? Because if the whole idea was supposed to be that we're all just cruising along in the sacred timeline until somebody does something they shouldn't, and then we get a branch and we almost start a multiverse, right?
Right.
Okay. So if that's the case, then how the hell did Sylvie even exist to cause a Nexus event? There would have had to have been a Nexus event to cause the timeline that she was born in to even be a different, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm confused as hell as to what the TVA actually does and why and where the multiverses do or don't come from. It's like the timeline that Sylvie lived in was perfectly fine until she did something as a child that caused a Nexus event. Mm-hmm. Well, no, the entire fact that her timeline exists should have been a Nexus event. I don't get it. And it's driving me nuts.
How are there? Because there are multiple timelines.
Right. We have multiple timelines or multiple.
But they're not supposed to be.
No, that's not what they're
trying to maintain one timeline. They're full of shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think there's a lot of things going on here where they're not as omnipotent or all powerful as they've.
Right. Well, they're either full of crap in story or. But I don't think that's the case because our characters in story are too smart not to see that, if that's even supposed to be a plot point. I just think it's a poorly explained plot line. It's just driving me nuts. I don't think it's something they really sat down and fleshed out and had it be a fully realized thing. They were just like, let's just go with this. We've got all these different alternate universes, so there's alternate versions of Lokis and alternate versions of all of us everywhere. Well, okay, I get that if there's a Nexus event that causes it, but why did you go get her because she caused the Nexus event, so she's the bad variant in that timeline. We opened the show with them picking up Loki because Loki took the Tesseract and escaped. And that wasn't part of their sacred timeline. So they went and got him, which makes sense to me. He caused that Nexus event. That all lined up. Where we're going with it now doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I still buy the multiple realities within the timeline, and that they're not necessarily all identical, but maybe in harmony with each other in some way. But I still think that the bottom line is that, I mean, we don't even really know what's going on. You know, Sylvie wanted to know why she was taken. What did she do? There was no answer.
Yeah, whatever their criteria is very arbitrary. Like they seem to be, and I know I don't remember which one of you was theorizing that the entity running the TVA is actually the AI, and that does kind of seem.
That was Andrew, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a chance, and I think maybe even more now that Miss Minutes is the AI that's running this. That maybe the timekeepers really are dead and gone, like we talked about last time, and that this AI is still running things.
Yeah. I mean,
but yeah, I mean, I agree. There's some stuff going on that doesn't exactly make sense with how the timelines work.
Like I hope that they will answer some of those. I feel like they can answer those questions satisfactorily. I just don't know where they're going.
Right, because it's this idea of you have a multiverse, but they're all operating on the same timeline somehow. Yet in each of these timelines, we have different versions. Like extremely different versions of the characters. So how can there be one consistent timeline?
But that's what I'm saying. I thought they were getting at, and the way I was wrapping my head around it was that these alternate versions of all these people, that those spring about after there's been a Nexus event in our timeline that causes a branch. And then that branch can do whatever it wants. So you can get alternate versions of other people. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm fine with that. This idea that it's actually one of the alternate people that caused a Nexus event, well, no, I'm still sitting there going, well, there had to be a Nexus event for that timeline to exist in the first place. So I'm confused.
Right. Well, and I think that's the thing. The timekeepers didn't create the timelines. They gave order to it. So whatever it is, and I agree with you, they're not explaining it as well as I think they could have. But my impression is that so while yes, there were all sorts of Nexus events prior to, the galaxy had been going on for how many ever thousands or millions of years, and it was in complete chaos. And we
had the multiverse.
Right. And so they bring it into order. So what they're doing is they're taking all these timelines or all these dimensions and stringing them into one timeline. I mean, that's literally what the Miss Minutes infographic tells us.
So even if there are multiple realities, they
all exist in whatever the sacred timeline is, whatever.
They all follow the same course of events.
Right. And they're
individually.
I guess
theoretically
they're keeping more of them from being created. They're keeping the consistent however many there are.
Well, you know what? Maybe? That's a 2-minute piece of dialogue between Mobius and Loki to tell us that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see.
Well, I don't think we're going to get a full explanation of it because I think we're going to completely break it before we get an answer.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think you're right, DJ. I think they've got...
Well, that goes back. My original theory was, there has to be a reason to give order. There has to be a motive for the timekeepers. So what is the motive if not that you're trying to control a series of events to get to a certain end, or at least a certain event?
Yeah.
And I agree with that too, that part of the reason we haven't gotten a good answer is because nobody there knows.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's an excellent point. DJ
Well, no,
says
but I
that.
think like if I'm sorry, Marisha, if Andrew's idea and theory about the fact that there are multiple uh, dimensions, I guess we'll call it, where everything's little bit different, but they all follow the same course of events. They all follow a similar timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's something that could very easily have been said. That's something the TVA would know,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that
They
they're
all have to
actually
stay in
watching
sync.
more than one world
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or more than one universe. But then you got multiverse again, which we didn't want. No, their whole idea was the whole crux of the opening episode and Miss Minute's little thing was there was a multiverse and it was chaos and we're all fighting each other, so we had to streamline it into one. And I took
Mm-hmm.
that to mean there is one. There's one.
What I took it to mean
Make it
from
to compare it to the comic books' version of the multiverse. There is one Earth. There is one universe. Is all we're doing. Because what creates these other universes is the fact that at any moment you can make more than one decision. So there's a universe there somewhere where you've made every decision you can make. Remember, that is an actual theory in physics.
Yep.
So that's how that comes about. So no, we want to streamline it. We're going to prune everything off except for this person only makes this decision, this decision, this decision. That's the timelines we're keeping. That's what we were led to believe. That's what was explained to us.
Well, and see, that's the thing. And here's what they have told us is that you can't prune a timeline once it redlines, right? Mm-hmm. It becomes permanent. So once you have a permanent timeline, you can't prune it. Well, so if the timekeepers start with all of this, with this multiverse, mm-hmm. they couldn't just prune all of the realities. They could only somehow rope them all into a somewhat controlled timeline and prune what happens from there forward.
Right.
So there you have chaos, and then at some point they begin pruning all the extra things to bring everything into alignment.
And they're trying to probably, I think that several people have kind of said various versions of this, that they're trying to create as much similarity as possible in the various timelines. So that may just be the criteria, is what is the most like what's happening in other timelines? What are the ones that we can keep?
I don't know. We're probably overthinking it, but that doesn't get rid of a multiverse to me. They're still there.
No, that's what I'm saying. The multiverse is absolutely still there.
Yeah. So
it's just being they're giving it, at least in their idea, order.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They've brought order to the multiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think that's where we're headed. I mean, the same writers writing with Sam Raimi to do Multiverse of Madness right now.
Yeah.
So, I think we will get more into what these Nexus events are and what Nexus beings are and how the timeline works, because we're going to explore it deeper after it's broken.
Yep.
You got woodpeckers?
I'm fisting. Hold on a second. Y'all can continue. I'll be right back.
Okay. So, Nick, your Doctor Who fan is showing. Nick keeps referring to the Time Lords.
The Time Lords.
Here, yeah.
He's not the only one. There's a lot of people that have taken to calling the Timekeepers Time Lords, and I mean, for all practical purposes, this is Doctor Who, right? In the Marvel universe. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of similarities.
So we're definitely going to see a blue box show up at some point, right?
We better not. But I do think the biggest thing is that there are some questions unanswered, but I don't think that that's necessarily preventing them from telling a good story.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is why I don't, anytime you start dealing with time travel theories and multiple reality theories, it tends to get messy.
It did. And that was, we had that conversation at the very beginning of all of this. And I love time travel, but it gets so convoluted and it makes stories so messy.
Dang, man, you were frozen. I was trying to figure out how you were sitting so still.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
it was impressive.
I'm sorry. The joys of live broadcast.
Yeah.
But these kinds of things are the reasons I don't need too much time travel in my stories.
Yeah.
I made that comment the other day too, and actually, so, yeah, no, I meant to expound on that further on another show, and I didn't. But you just get to you got to have this is where we're starting with it, and this is where we're going with it, and these are our rules for it, and you got to stay there. And if you don't, it gets very convoluted. The Terminator movies, the first two movies, make sense. They more or less stick to their original conceit with the time travel thing.
Follow the rules.
It's cool. It works. But the more of it you put into that story, and every one of those movies is a time travel movie by nature, it gets more and more convoluted.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yep.
So that's just as an example.
Yeah.
But,
So, besides all that, because I do think that we're maybe somewhat overthinking it. I do hope I do hope that they do provide answers to some of that. I think some of that is because we haven't really encountered a character that actually knows what's actually going on.
No, and I'm too analytical by nature. I mean, even my chosen career path at this point is I sit down and look at numbers all day and make math make sense. So, yeah, I have to get out of that. That's all it is. We're just overthinking it. And sometimes you just got to suspend a little more disbelief and just go with it. But it's driving me nuts right now. That was bugging the crap out of me yesterday.
That's funny.
So what did y'all think? I mean, episode 3, the big complaint about episode 3 was that it was a filler episode.
Absolutely not.
And I don't agree with that at all. I think that it was important to get to know that character.
Yep. And I think it was important that we establish a dynamic for Loki 1 and Loki 2.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a really good character development episode. Yeah, you didn't move the plot forward very much, but you had a brand new character that you really needed to take some time to explore, and I appreciate that they did that, because with a 6-episode series, they could have just as easily not done that, and then we would all be complaining that they didn't do it.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, no, it needed it, and it was enjoyable. Like I said, just their dynamic together, watch them on screen together, I enjoyed it. I'm not a huge fan of where they ultimately act like they're going to take it. That's just weird.
It is weird, but the ultimate narcissist falling in love with himself. I mean,
I know.
It all makes sense. It's very Greek in its storytelling. But I don't know where they're going to end up going with that. I do want to give a shout out to the actress that played young Sylvie.
Yeah, she was great.
That's Kaylee Fleming. She was young Ray. She's amassed quite a resume. She was young Ray.
Okay.
She has also been Judith in The Walking Dead.
Huh.
Yep.
And she's from Picayune, Mississippi.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. For such a young actress, she's putting together quite an impressive list of characters there, even if they're mostly short appearances.
Yeah, I haven't really liked Walking Dead for a couple of years. I fell off that show, but she's very good in it. She's about the best thing left on that show, actually.
Yeah.
So the big moments, there were, I mean, both deaths. I mean, let's go ahead and talk about it. I mean, we had 2 deaths. We don't know what that means at this point. They were taken out with whatever the TVA's,
the melting
the
stick.
pruner, the melt stick.
I called it the melting stick. I did. But yeah, the pruner.
Whatever they are, whatever they actually do, whether they're killing someone or sending them somewhere else, is unclear at this point. But honestly, before we knew that, when we thought that they were definitely killing people, I will say that those are 2 moments. I haven't had too many moments in TV anytime lately where I've just been left with my mouth open, going,
Right.
completely didn't see it coming. And I didn't see Mobius dying coming. Poor Mobius. He just wanted to ride a jet ski.
Yep.
Bless
I
him.
didn't see that one coming, but I kind of, when that happened, I went, well, shit, that sucks. I said, bye, guys. I guess it's okay. We're going to drive the plot forward with it. That's fine. Whatever. I got over that one quick. And then, like I said, when it happened to Loki, at that point, I'm sold on Sylvie. I'm like, it's her show now. Let's go.
Yeah.
Even though, and I'm glad that it's not the case. I'm glad we got the end credit scene. But I was like, that's first of all, you knew there had to be more. I waited on the end credit scene because they're not killing Tom Hiddleston off. They're not.
And that was my thing. Like, okay, we just did kill him off, and I was very sad last time we killed off Tom Hiddleston. We are not allowed to do that again so soon.
I do want to talk about real quick as we talk about Mobius and his death. When we talked about episodes 1 and 2, we talked about, how prone he is to just play, that Owen Wilson is to just play Owen Wilson. And then he just kind of charms his way through every role that he does. But we talked about it briefly. He's done some movies where he's done some real acting. And I really felt like in episode 4 that he turned the acting up a notch.
Yeah.
It's his best episode. Overall, episode 4 is not my favorite episode, though. Like, I'm really, that was a turn down for me. I didn't. It's Owen Wilson's best episode. It and episode 3 combined really do help me really like Sophia DiMartino and that character, and did a lot where that's concerned. Right. There are some plot points to episode 4 that, like I said, that's where my whole rant at the beginning of this episode about how the TVA works and what the timeline actually is. That's where the whole rant came from, was shit I saw happen in episode 4 not making sense. I'm serious.
Yeah.
It's the relationship between our male and female Loki, where that, not where it is right now, but where the writers are hinting at where they're going to take it, creeps me out. I'm sorry. I'm being for real, so you're laughing at me, and this is serious for me. That creeps me out. It does impact how well I did or did not like the episode.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a fair critique. It's I
don't know, and I get it. It is the ultimate narcissistic move, right. And I guess I have to remind myself that we didn't watch this Loki go through all the character development the other one did. He's still at the peak of his narcissism,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he did get some of it. We got all that character development on Fast Track through video recap in the first episode. They tried to give as much of it as they could.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it.
I don't think you're the only one. I've seen several people.
No, it's weird.
It's weird.
It is weird.
And I mean, I think in fairness, like, I think it would be weirder if you didn't think it was weird.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's one of those things. Like, surely they wrote that knowing people are going to go, that's kind of weird. That's kind of messed up. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just where we're at. And I don't know what the end game of this series is.
I was just thinking that. I have no clue. Because it almost feels like, can you keep both of them? Like, because I don't want to lose her. Like, I really have, like I said, I think she could carry her own. If this were just her show, she could carry it. Mm-hmm. I don't want to lose that. But at the same time, I'm still, if they keep them both around, then this relationship just keeps developing, and I'm just more creeped out. So, and we've already killed Loki, so maybe the end of this show really is the last we'll see of Hiddleston. I don't know. Maybe this is him passing the torch to her. I don't know. And
Maybe
then
so.
Thor's got a sister. Won't that add a cool dynamic? You know, like there's a million different ways you could go with that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah,
y'all.
I mean, my assumption is that one or both of them is returning to our primary timeline.
That is, yes. Yes, that would also be my assumption.
So, where is Loki? Do you have theories on that?
He's on a planet with every other Loki they've ever pruned somehow. Like, seriously, I don't know.
With Richard E. Grant Loki?
Dude, I have been sitting there for 4 episodes going, where's Richard E. Grant? Where's Richard E. Grant? And then there he is, and all his comic book accurate glory. I geeked out. I'm not kidding you, because I am actually shocked how much he looks like Jack Kirby's Loki. It's unreal.
Yeah,
that's funny.
That was a brilliant casting, and I did not see it coming.
No, that was awesome.
That was cool. That was cool.
I was geeking out about that while the kids were freaking out about the alligator.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were most excited. Like, look, he's got an alligator, and he's got on a Loki helmet.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know.
So is the alligator Loki, or does Loki just have an alligator with a helmet?
I don't know. I don't remember the alligator at all. Just like I honestly, so I don't know. I can't answer that.
Yeah.
Maybe I should remember the alligator. Somebody somewhere will accuse me of not being a real comic book fan because I forgot about Loki the alligator. I'm sorry. I know about Spider Ham. Richard B. Parker. Did you know that? Okay.
Yeah.
and I do agree with you there, Nick. I think that's definitely been the intention all along. I think that she winds up in our primary timeline 100% for sure.
As Enchantress.
Yeah. Which that's what they did, and it's obvious that it's an amalgamation of the characters. Which really, the first version of Lady Loki we ever got anyway was just Loki possessing Lady Sif's body. And then later on, because he is the master of illusion, or you want to call it, he would wear a woman's body. And we had Lady Loki. Enchantress is a character with connections to Loki. That's why a lot of people theorize that she was just Enchantress. All they've done is sort of change the character's origins for the movie of making her a female alternate version of Loki. So it's actually pretty cool, and gave her powers, and those powers make sense. That's the kind of crap that really, if our Loki were able to do that, had been able to do that before, we wouldn't be surprised. Like, it fits in line with. I like it.
Yeah, and they're the kind of powers. The thing is, he had a teacher and she didn't.
Right.
So, her powers are basically things that she's discovered herself. So she could have exactly the same innate skill set as Loki Prime, but she didn't have
Loki
Frigga.
Prime.
Her whole.
So you haven't really had a chance to give us your thoughts on these 2 episodes together.
I like this show. I really, really like this show.
I mean, what are your favorite moments, favorite parts, your favorite themes that they're going with?
Okay, so in keeping...
Real quick before I forget, though.
Okay.
Is the only thing to me that the TVA is missing is Patrick Warburton. It just feels like Patrick Warburton would just be right at home in the TVA.
Yeah. That would be entertaining. Marvel, listen up.
Actually, because I honestly, when you said that, I picture he was in Men in Black 2 for about 3 minutes as a really bad Men in Black agent, and that's what I pictured when you said that.
Or Lemony Snicket, in a series of unfortunate events. Yeah, very.
Anyway, sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, no, it's fine. Okay, so the most in keeping with me answer ever. I liked the song that he was singing on the train, and he's singing. I thought that was great. Like it was a very. We don't get to see Loki be at all vulnerable very often. Like typically, he does his bravado is his thing. And so we got to see him for. I mean, not that he's not doing a little bit of bravado there, but he's also kind of he's there and he's singing the song of his people. He's singing, and he's just seen Asgard be destroyed. Just yesterday he just saw all of this stuff that's going to happen, that has happened. That it's so him on that train singing that song, I liked. Me, not necessarily a story point. I'm a moments person. I honestly, I'm just enjoying. I'm kind of enjoying things just being unexpected. It's kind of like how I felt about WandaVision. It was like every week, it was like, I don't know where they're going with this, but the ride's great. And that's kind of how I feel about this show at this point. I don't really have strong feelings about where I want the story to go. I think they're doing a really great job with the ride, and I'm just really enjoying. Like I said, I wasn't excited to see them kill off Mobius or Loki, but daggum, they surprised me, and just to actually pull off a surprise in a show like that is an accomplishment in this day and time.
Yeah. I still think overall, the writing on this show is better than on the other two shows.
It's definitely better than the writing for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I feel like it's more consistent.
Well, wait. Here's my thoughts on it. As far as putting together a complex, concise, beginning to end overall plot, WandaVision. As far as individual dialogue, character moments, enjoyability, Loki, except I got issues with episode 4. So far, that's where I'll put them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the overall theme and plot and structure to the WandaVision series as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my complaint with WandaVision is still, and I still like the show. My complaint is that there were so many things that were there were so many red herrings. So many things that were put in there that were just, they went nowhere, they meant nothing. They were just to make us come up with crazy theories.
Yeah, but in a way it made it kind of enjoyable because every time you thought you knew what was going on, you didn't.
Yeah.
True.
But most of them really did turn out to be nothing.
But this show's kind of doing the same thing as far as keeping you guessing, but so far they're not leaving a lot of loose ends.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But
it's not
on the other
keeping you
hand,
guessing. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
It's hard to make a judgment. Honestly, it's like I said, whenever the first sequel Star Wars movie came out back all those years ago, it's like, what do you think about it? It's like, well, I don't know. We'll have to see what comes next. It's like, I feel like in some ways, like so far, I think the show's been great, but until we see whether they stick the landing or not, it's really hard to decide how I feel about the whole show. Like it's hard to make a judgment on how good the writing is till you see how well they follow through on what they've done so far.
Yeah. So Nick brings something up with WandaVision, everything was about Mephisto. Mm-hmm. And of course, they started this show off by very intentionally trying to go, oh, Mephisto right here.
Right.
But a lot of the rumor here has not been Mephisto, it's been Kang.
Yeah.
Who we do know is due to show up in Quantumania.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? I mean, you're dealing with time travel and all of that. I mean,
right.
I can certainly see him being involved.
The the theory that I saw, the one that would make sense in some way, I guess, if it were true, is that the TVA is actually stationed in the quantum realm, and Kang rules over the quantum realm. So the whole idea there is that Kang's pulling the strings here because we're really in the quantum realm and just don't know it.
Yeah.
I don't buy into that one.
It doesn't look anything like the quantum realm that we've seen. And
I mean, so it's got. Well, I mean, it has to either exist in the quantum realm or it's a pocket dimension, which we haven't talked about in the MCU yet.
Right.
But like Olympus is a pocket dimension. So could this be a pocket dimension that kind of exists outside the timeline? Maybe. Now, where I think Kang's going to come in, I think that the TVA may be the only thing keeping Kang in check.
I don't really. I don't buy that we're going to see Kang at all.
Oh, I don't think we're going to see Kang in this at all either. I just think that Kang's hopping around the timeline would be stopped by the TVA.
Right.
And that when the TVA is destroyed, which I assume it's going to be at the end of this, or at least they're going to lose control of the timeline, then I assume that's going to lead to Kang showing up in Quantumania. If Kang is related to this at all, I think that's more likely the connection.
This Kang being the conqueror of time and multiverse, is that what you're referring to? Him kind of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And that makes sense at this. I mean, because
he's very
clearly,
full of himself.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of that going around in this particular show. But I think that the things that have been going on, maybe not as much Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I feel like WandaVision and this show are both really setting up a lot of things that are coming.
Yeah, right.
The weird stuff that's coming next. I mean, not that I don't think Falcon and Winter Soldier were setting things up, but I think it was more practical. I don't think it was game-changing stuff other than just different.
For Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
I think Falcon and Winter Soldier was more of a personal story.
Yeah, I don't think it was like this paradigm shift in how the universe works. I think it was just, and this is what's happening here with these characters.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was nearly as impactful on the MCU as a whole as these two together are going to be. The WandaVision and Loki. I think those two together, by the time it's all said and done, set the stage for everything that's coming in phase 4. Now, the thing that I do appreciate about all three of these shows and telling is that they all have taken time to tell personal stories with these characters. Things that you don't really get the chance to do often in what are expected to be action films.
Generally, that first character film, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, you got a lot of character.
About the first half of the movie will be, character. But you don't normally with movie characters get a point 10 years into their evolution to stop and tell personal stories, and that's what taking the time to tell these stories in long format on Disney Plus gives them the opportunity to do, is to come back to a character and evolve them.
Right.
And Loki's just such a fun one to revisit.
Oh, yeah. No, we've said that already. He's the most interesting character of any of the ones we've explored so far. So.
All right. I don't know who's actually still in the chat, but are there any questions or any more thoughts from the chat before we do wrap up?
Falcon and the Winter Soldiers was supposed to come out first. I think WandaVision and Loki set up movies.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. You're right, Nick. I had kind of forgotten that they had changed the timeline for that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Why? Because it seemed like these, like WandaVision and Loki kind of have a lot more threads kind of tying them, and then there was and then there's this one in the middle, which is
Right.
totally different.
Well, everything that's going down in Loki and WandaVision is going to tie directly into Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
Quantumania, maybe Quantumania, depending
Probably.
on where this show goes.
Right.
Yeah.
So has anybody got any more thoughts? Like, you started to say something.
Scroll up the little chat line there right before you started talking about Nick's question. I saw another one pop up. And I forget the name. I forget who posted it.
Oh, Extra Techie said, I think this might be a night lead into Doctor Strange, and maybe Scarlet Witch shows up. Wait.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing what you think.
No. I'm sorry, that was after.
We did get this one.
Yes, yes, the alligator is a Loki.
Yes, the alligators. I saw that. Okay, I need title, volume, and issue number.
All right, Nick, you've been challenged there.
It was after that one.
It was after that.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was that one, and then we got into the Mephisto stuff.
Yeah, I don't remember.
We had
sorry,
this one, which wasn't really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. I wanted to talk about that. That was
Okay.
actually, I saw that pop up, and I just wanted to say I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, no, that whole little.
There is a little less Guardian in Loki.
Oh yeah.
They may not always want to admit it, but yeah, they
Absolutely.
rubbed off on him.
Absolutely.
It was a good callback, and it fit the moment they were in. And it's the first time I've ever seen Loki drunk, and it made me laugh.
Right?
I like that one.
You know, honestly, I feel like Loki's probably the kind of person who doesn't get drunk very often because he likes to be in control of the situation. He likes to be able to take advantage of everybody else being drunk, but he doesn't necessarily looking to do it himself.
Right.
So. Ooh, it would be interesting if Scarlet Witch showed up. I mean, she's definitely...
I don't see...
I don't know. I don't see that.
I mean, I would like to see... I actually had hoped in this one, of course, before this came out, we talked about this at length on the last show. We thought we were going to be doing a lot more hopping around the timeline, a lot more of the stuff like Loki on the airplane.
Yeah.
You know, we thought we were going to do DB Cooper. So we thought we were going to be doing a lot more of that. And so I actually thought that we would have opportunities to encounter other characters from the MCU.
Yes.
As we were doing some of that.
I did think, yeah, we would run into a little bit more of things that have happened before.
Right. We thought we were getting Quantum Leap Loki.
Right.
Honestly. Which
Yes.
is still a cool concept, by the way.
Yeah, no, it is.
Like, did y'all notice that the Loki banner, one of them is DB Cooper Loki? It's like, you did it for 30 seconds. Why you got to go teasing us with the fact that we didn't get a whole episode of that?
Because it's a cool moment.
It is, and it's one of these things that even though it wasn't a whole episode or we didn't get, like, what we thought we were getting, like, we still get this cool little Easter egg kind of thing where we go, okay, Loki is DB Cooper.
Mm-hmm. Like, just the idea that every now and then he'd hop to Earth and do something like that just for the fun of it.
Because he lost a bet.
Satisfying.
For real? Loki has been a horse and had a horse child, and his kid is who Odin rides? Is that really a thing? Please say no.
Oh, it's probably. I
think that's part of the mythology, actually. I don't know that that's part of the comic books, but that's part of the mythology, maybe.
I mean, I know that Odin rides like an 8-legged horse, but I didn't know it was a Loki offspring. I mean, them demigods, they get up to all kinds of shenanigans.
I mean, Norse mythology is pretty weird.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's.
And I keep saying I'm going to read Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I need to read that because everything Neil Gaiman writes in the first place is already is a must read.
Yeah.
Yep, always interesting stuff. Yeah, actually, I've got the audiobook, and I keep thinking, "Ooh, I'm going to read that," but never makes it to the top of the list.
All right. So as we wrap up, where are we going next week? Where does this start?
I have no clue. I don't know.
I'm assuming
We're
we're gonna
obviously
be
going to get Sylvie interrogating. What's her name again, Marisha?
Ravonna?
Oh, yeah.
Ravonna, and maybe we'll actually get some freaking answers. And I'm just really, if that's where the show opens, I might fast forward it just so I can get to Planet Loki.
Which appears to be destroyed New York, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the Avengers Tower, or at least Stark Tower in the background, and a lot of other important buildings. So wherever they are, or whatever the place they are actually is, it is New York, but a completely destroyed. Presumably, maybe the version of New York that his invasion fully destroyed.
Yep.
Right. That's the world where Loki won.
Yeah. Maybe so.
That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, the Chitauri just came and destroyed everything.
Yep.
But of course, Thanos was the one pulling the strings all the way back then, so.
All right.
So what is Thanos doing in Planet Loki? Hopefully nothing. I'm tired of Thanos.
Well, I think Thanos is gone, but
Yeah.
I do expect us to get some answers.
Yeah.
Then episode 6 is going to be we'll have the answers next week, and then in episode 6 we'll get to wrap it all up and have the big climactic conclusion. That's going to work.
Yeah. Oh, good question. Do you prefer week to week, or do you wish you could binge it? Oh, I'd 100% binge it, but there is something. Is something about having to wait for it, if nothing else.
We wouldn't be able to do this show very well if if it all dropped at once.
no, for the sake of doing what we do here, and being able to have conversations with everybody and talk about it and theorize, I certainly prefer this. I actually think that releasing them this way is sort of a good thing, because it's almost like people have forgotten how to watch TV this way.
Yeah.
And it seems that most complaints about these shows pop up because people just don't know how to not hit next and watch the next episode anymore immediately. It's kind of that instant gratification culture that that digital technology has brought about. But for a show like this, man, I would absolutely love to be able to just watch
See
it,
what
because
happens.
It's chaos. So yeah, I mean,
if I could, we would watch it all.
Yeah.
Like in a day, it'd be like, all right, this is what we're doing Saturday, watching Loki.
Yep.
But then it would be over. Of course, then we watch it again. We've watched all the episodes multiple times. Like literally, we watched it Wednesday and Thursday. The kids were like, "Are we going to go watch Loki again? We don't want to watch Stargate. We want to watch Loki again." They were like all interested. Like, we need to see this again. This is crazy stuff. And it is.
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff.
All right. Well, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
Wow, crickets.
Crickets. I think we've all said our piece.
Yeah, I think so. I've
All right.
ranted. I have told you what I like. Told you what I didn't like. I think I'm good. I just don't. I don't need a Loki mance.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah, there's no denying.
No, it's definitely weird.
I mean, honestly, this is so. I shouldn't even bring it up like this, but how genetically similar are they? Like seriously, like would that be like a brother and sister? It's yourself.
Probably shouldn't procreate.
This
with
is
yourself.
This is what I'm getting at. Is creepy.
Maybe
Probably.
that's why there's an 8-legged horse.
Good point.
Just
Gosh.
Good point. And that,
Wow.
if this were if this were a regular episode, the way we used to do it, where we would drop the little catchphrase sentence about the episode, that'd be our catchphrase sentence.
yeah.
That'd be
Okay.
that'd be our teacher.
100%. All right. Well, I think I'm the only person left in the chat, so why don't we go ahead and sign out?
All right. Well, until next time, you can find us on Twitter at sci_fictionary. You can drop us a line at thesciencefictionary@gmail.com, and you can find us at thesciencefictionary.com. Marisha, where can people find you?
I'm sorry. I'm still just reeling from the whole horse comment. You can find me on Instagram at princesses_padawans, and I'm P Padawans on Twitter.
All right. And Daniel?
I am Dan C. Peeps on Twitter, and say no to Loki on Loki Love.
And until next time, for all time, always.
This podcast is part of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts, visit red5network.com.